Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fans of BlackTideTV, readers and writers on GameSkinny, welcome to the Friday Show. This is a brand new weekly video series on my YouTube channel, BlackTideTV. It will also be promoted on GameSkinny as I'm working with the website to bring you the best content possible. For the Friday Show, we're going through GameSkinny articles each and every week and finding the best and the most interesting articles that I feel I can expand on. I always want to leave my 2 cents on articles when I'm going through GameSkinny, and this video series is going to give me my chance to do that. So I'm picking articles that I can expand on, things that I have some exterior knowledge on, or things that I have a differing opinion from the author of the articles in, and we're going to be talking about those articles in this weekly video. So in today's video, I want to provide you guys with a little bit of an introduction on the series, how the whole thing's going to work, and then we're going to do a few articles towards the end of the video just to kind of give you guys a feel of how the series is going to work in the future. I think I've picked like 6 or 7 topics today. Normally these videos are going to be pretty long. They're going to be like between 20 and 30 minutes long. It's kind of like a weekly news show. So strap in, get ready to be enlightened with the beautiful, wonderful works of the GameSkinny authors. Now, first up, let's talk about how the series is going to work. As far as selecting content for the beginning of this series is going to go, I'm going to stick with mostly console-based articles. We're going to be talking about games for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and maybe a little bit of Wii U most of the time, just because I know that my audience is mostly console-based, and this is still a BlackTideTV original, so I want to keep it in the kind of scope of my audience for the beginning. If the video starts to do really well, if we kind of expand the audience to more of a GameSkinny style audience, then we will be getting into some of the more outlandish topics on GameSkinny. There are some crazy articles written here. I mean, I used to write here myself, and the things that I would put down on this website is absolutely ridiculous. Like, you can go from talking about merchandise to going to talking about some kind of crazy new development in apps to talking about, like, it's just crazy. There's so many different things to talk about on this website, so I'm trying to narrow it down to console stuff at the beginning just to see how the series is going to work out on my channel at the beginning here, and we're going to just see where we go, and that's what we're going to start with, is console based stuff. So in the first couple videos, just expect to see that, the stuff that's going to be really resonant with my personal audience on BlackTideTV. Now, as I just mentioned, this is a BlackTideTV original, so it's 100% written, directed, produced, edited by myself. GameSkinny just has their name on it as I'm using their articles, but let me explain how the whole GameSkinny side of things is going to work. So what I'm doing in this series is I'm trying to promote some GameSkinny authors. I know it's really hard for those guys to get their stuff out there, to get their views. They're actually on a view quota for a week when they're in the JTP, the Journalist Training Program, so they're trying to get as many views as they can in a week. They're trying to get as many views as they can on their articles, get their stuff out there, get themselves known, and I know how hard that can be. So this whole series is mostly about that. It's mostly just about trying to promote my friends over at GameSkinny. So what we're doing on this series is trying to get you guys to go over there and check out their articles. This is just a taste of what is in each of these articles. I'm just giving you the briefest, most quickest rundown of these things as I possibly can. The whole idea is for you to get interested in a certain topic. Head on down to the description below, find a link to the chosen article, and go and check it out for yourself. Start a conversation in that comment section as well as the comment section in my videos. So the whole idea of this thing is to check out some GameSkinny articles, to check out GameSkinny. So make sure you head on down to the description below. If you hear of any kind of article that is really interesting to you, they will have more information in the written version on the website, so make sure you check them out. And that is about it for the introduction here today. Let's jump right into some articles. One thing I should mention briefly in passing before we get to those articles today is that the gameplay that you're going to be seeing in these videos is going to be my own. I'm just going to be playing whatever games. I think it's mostly going to be Call of Duty, just because I know you guys love to see Call of Duty content, and I like to keep everyone's eyes active while they're listening to my commentary. If it was just a black screen, or if it was a picture of even me talking, I don't think it would be as interesting. So I've got my gameplay up here for you guys to enjoy with your eyeballs while you're enjoying my beautiful voice with your ear holes. And I hope that's okay with you guys. If you guys wanted to see a different game played while you're listening to the commentary during the weekly show, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. I'm definitely interested in what you guys have to say about this whole series. Any kind of criticisms at all about this series are definitely welcomed in the comment section down below. Now that being said, let's get into some articles. Kicking off today's articles is an Uncharted 4 A Thief's End review by Chris Bowring. This is a pretty sweet review. It's very long. I think it's amazingly well written. I have a few criticisms of how he reviewed it though. The thing is, I've been waiting to review Uncharted 4 myself. I still haven't actually finished that game yet. I've been playing so many other things, and like I said in a couple of my other videos, it's just that so many games take up so much space now. Like Elder Scrolls Online is up to like 80 gigabytes or 90 gigabytes. It's absolutely insane. So it's like if I want to play a new game, I got to completely delete another one just to try it. So I've been kind of on and off with Uncharted 4. I'm almost towards the end of the game, and I do really like the game. As in this article here, he says that it is very, very close to being a masterpiece. He basically praises most of the storytelling, most of the gameplay mechanics. He says there's a little bit of weakness, but it's not as bad as a lot of other games. He gave it actually a 9 out of 10, which I personally wouldn't agree with. There's some things that he said that he's played Uncharted games before, but he wasn't as much of a fan. I think previous Uncharted games have actually been a little bit better because the way that they kind of introduced everything in this game, it's just very, very strange. So it's like the whole time that you've been playing as Nathan Drake, you've been making up this story of who he is, of who he knows, what his abilities are, and then you get to Uncharted 4, and they kind of just throw that all under the bus, and they kind of make their own story. Out of nowhere, with no mention whatsoever of this character for the first 3 games of this series, his brother shows up. So this Sam character just appears out of nowhere. This Sam character that Nathan has not talked about from the day one of this game, and he's just like this long lost brother who's like his best friend and all this stuff. Like, I'm not really sure where this character came from. That was like my major criticism about the game itself. They said in the article here by Chris, he said that he actually enjoyed how Sam showed up and he was kind of this mysterious character, and that he needs to urge Nathan into his older ways, and that he brings him back into the fold of being treasure hunter and being the original Nathan Drake, which it makes sense that they needed that character to kind of bring him back into being Nathan Drake. But I don't like how he just appeared out of nowhere. Maybe if they had mentioned him, maybe if even in the remastered version in the Uncharted collection, that they had put in a couple mentions of his name in anticipation of Uncharted 4 coming out. Because honestly, when Nathan Drake is, say, running through the woods and he finds like this crazy thing that like he finds like Shambhala or whatever, you think he would be like, oh, Sam would have loved this, but he doesn't. He doesn't mention him at all, even when he's alone. So it's kind of very strange that this character just appears out of nowhere. One other criticism that I had about one of the things that was reviewed in this article here is that they really like, Chris really, really likes the rope gameplay, and that rope gameplay just drove me nuts in this game. I could not stand it. He said that it's very rewarding to go from like shooting to being in stealth to swinging away on the rope. I hated the rope gameplay. I felt like it took so much away from the gameplay experience, because normally you have to struggle and you have to find your way around getting around the map. You have to find your way around the wall runs. You can't just throw your rope and swing to a special spot right away. Like, you had to actually plan your approach. You had to go up the right part of the wall to get to the right area. He said, oh, well, with the rope, it's just so easy. Like, you can throw the rope and whatever. And the other thing about the rope is that it was very unrealistic, in my opinion. Like, the rope, you could throw it through things, and your guy, like, Uncharted is not realistic at all, really. Like, if you really get into this game, it's not the most realistic thing in the whole world, but it's still realistic to a point where it makes sense. Like, yeah, you're climbing the wall, right? It makes sense. Like, anybody can climb a rock wall. Sure, it might be dangerous, but then you see people with the rope. Like, when you get into the rope gameplay in Uncharted 4, it's absolutely insane, because your guy, like, runs and he jumps off this cliff. It's like a 90 million foot drop, and he throws the rope and gets it hooked on the perfect first try and swings to safety. It's like, yeah, I know. It's like, if that was real life, I wouldn't be jumping over this crazy 1,000-foot deadly drop and throwing a rope at a hook on a wall and getting it in the first try. Like, what if you miss the hook? Like, 9 chances out of 10, you're going to miss the hook, and then you're going to die. So it took the realism out of the game for me. Apart from that, I thought this review was really, really well written. I would have personally given the game, like, 7.5 and 8. I was not a big fan of Uncharted 4, as I have been of previous Uncharted games. Next up, we have an article about Red Dead Redemption 2 from David Martinez 1224. So in this article, he's basically just saying that it's okay that Rockstar didn't come to Gamescom with a Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer. A lot of people have been speculating about Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out, or whatever it's going to be called. I think it's actually going to be called something like Red Dead Revenge, maybe? I don't know, but the first video game that was actually Red Dead Redemption was made off of was Red Dead Hand, I think it was. So Red Dead Redemption is actually the second part of a series, so basically it's Red Dead Redemption 3. People have been speculating that it's going to be coming out for a while. There's been leaks and stuff online, and it definitely seems like they're going to be making another Red Dead Redemption game, but they haven't really come out and announced anything yet. They haven't been to any big games conferences like E3. They didn't announce anything. Gamescom, they haven't announced anything. And basically what Dave Martinez is saying in his short article here is that it's okay that they haven't announced anything, because in the past, Rockstar has kind of stayed away from bigger games conventions when they've been announcing their games. Apparently, Grand Theft Auto 5 wasn't announced at E3, but in a Newswire post. So it's just absolutely crazy that they actually announce their games in weirder ways just to kind of screw with their audience, I guess. But they're not. It's okay that they didn't show up at Gamescom with a Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer. It could still be in the works. It could still be on the way, and they might release a trailer sooner than we may know. So I'm excited about that. That's got me all pumped, because Red Dead Redemption was an absolutely amazing game. If you haven't tried it, it's only on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, I believe. Actually, I think it might be remastered with backwards compatibility for Xbox One, but I definitely recommend you try it out. I actually prefer Red Dead Redemption over all of the Grand Theft Auto games. It's almost like Grand Theft Auto in the Wild West. It's absolutely crazy game. I definitely recommend that you check that game out. Next up, Captain Booyah is actually covering the Resident Evil 7 trailer from Gamescom, and I love this trailer. It looks so creepy. Resident Evil is taking a turn for the better, in my opinion, but how he words it here is that some angry fanboys might not like how it's actually going into first person, and how it's actually becoming more of a survival horror game than previous Resident Evils. Resident Evil has kind of been getting into more shooter style games, and this trailer definitely makes it seem like this is going to be a survival horror first person crazy game. Like, it looks really good. And it looks scary. Like, the trailer itself is tense. Like, there is this creepy lady following you through this house with a lantern, and you're trying to get away from her. Your character is clearly freaking out. Your character actually talks, thank God. So they're freaking out, clearly freaking out that if this character with the lantern catches you, you're 100% dead, you're gone. And actually, right at the very end of the trailer, I don't want to mention it just because it'll kind of give it away, but I kind of got it. You get caught at the end of the trailer, and it's scary as hell. It's like a jump scare right out of your chair. It's absolutely crazy. I know I keep saying that, but there's just so many good articles here on GameSkinny. But this Gamescom trailer, amazing. It's so cool that Resident Evil is actually taking a turn. They're taking a risk and going with a more stealth-based survival horror game than their previous installments, which have been mostly shooter-type games, like third-person shooters. I don't really care for I never really cared for the newer Resident Evil games. I remember playing Resident Evil way back on PlayStation 2 when it was more of a survival horror game, when it was more of a scary game to play. Resident Evil 5, hated it. Like, I hated Resident Evil 5 so much that I never even played Resident Evil 6, just because Resident Evil 5 was just mostly just like a shooter, and it was just boring. It was just slowly paced, and I don't know, I just didn't like it. I liked the PlayStation 2 versions where it was more horror style, and it looks like that's what they're getting into again with Resident Evil 7, and I really like how they're going into first person. It definitely adds a whole new layer to the experience. Like, when you're in first person, it really feels like you're there. So when you're playing a survival horror game in particular, you're going to be scared to play this game because you're going to be right front and center with the terrible things that are happening. It's going to be lots of fun. I'm really looking forward to this game now. Next up, we have an article by Anne-Marie Coyle. This one is about Mass Effect Andromeda gameplay footage not appearing at Gamescom and the possibility of a trilogy remaster for the Mass Effect series for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So at Gamescom, there wasn't any footage from EA from Mass Effect Andromeda. This is a game that's slated to come out next March, I believe. So it's kind of weird that there's no gameplay out yet. They haven't announced anything. They never announced anything at E3. They never announced anything at Gamescom. They haven't actually put forth that much gameplay footage, and it's kind of worrying to people because this is the first Mass Effect game without Commander Shepard. This is the first Mass Effect game that's in the universe, but it's not in the same series per se. So people are worried. They're like, are they not happy with the gameplay? Are they not happy with how the game is performing at this point? Like, do they need to have that extra time to come up with a more better gameplay? Like, do they need to keep working on this game? Is the game not ready? So people are freaking out about this because they haven't released any gameplay yet, and basically what EA said is that they're just focused on their other titles. Like, they've got titles coming out October through December, so they're not promoting Mass Effect as much right now, which seems ridiculous to me because Mass Effect is one of their bigger sellers. It would make sense for them to at least put out a teaser trailer or something. But they just said that, don't worry, they're still working on that game. It's still going to be ready for March, but between you and me, I think it's probably going to get pushed back at least till May. But they're saying that it's going to be ready in March, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They say that they're just focused on their titles coming out October through December right now, and when those titles are out, they're going to start talking about Mass Effect Andromeda a little bit. Now, as far as this Mass Effect Trilogy remaster coming out, basically, if you don't know the backstory here, EA basically said that they 100% are never going to do a remastered trilogy for Mass Effect. A little while ago, they said, oh, that's so stupid, why would we do that? And then all these other game companies have started doing remasters, Activision redoing their Call of Duty series, all kinds of stuff like that. And EA has kind of been looking at the numbers, how much money they're making off these remastered games, and EA is like, oh yeah, like, people actually buy these remastered games, maybe we'll do it too. So they're saying that they're absolutely actively looking at making a Mass Effect Trilogy remaster. Now, my only concern about a Mass Effect Trilogy remaster is that, will it be available for PlayStation 4? Because the weird thing about remasters is that sometimes they break the rules a little bit, and sometimes companies make stupid decisions. Basically, what I'm saying here is that the Mass Effect series was originally on Xbox. It was originally an Xbox exclusive. PlayStation didn't have rights to it. PlayStation you couldn't play it on PlayStation until they made the Mass Effect trilogy, which came out just towards the end of the last gen console's lifespan. And that actually, when that came out with the full trilogy, it was then available for PlayStation 3. So what I'm saying is, what if they make a remastered trilogy, but they only make it for Xbox One? That would kind of be ridiculous. I think that it's a very small possibility, but it wouldn't be the first time that a game company has done something so stupid to us. So I'm just worried that if they do remaster this trilogy, if they don't bring it to PS4, that could just cause massive outrage. So hopefully if they do a trilogy, it will be PS4 as well. And that's about it for this article. The final article that I've chosen for today's video is Homeless Ranger's No Man's Sky review. I love how he does this review. It's very well written. He talks about both the good and the bad of so many features in this game. A lot of people are giving this wholly good or wholly bad reviews as it is a brand new game, and a lot of people are on that hype train. This game has been hyped for such a long time that a lot of people are just so excited to get it that they think that every aspect of the game is really good. But Homeless Ranger would have to disagree. I love how he talks about how there's an illusion of depth in this game. It seems like there's all this stuff to do, and it seems like the game is never ending and that you'll never see anything repetitive, but in its core, it is extremely repetitive. He says that most of the time you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. He said it's like go to one planet, collect your resources, repair your ship, go to the next planet. And he said the combat's clunky. He said there's a lot of problems with this game, especially being no story and just being very repetitive with a lot of things coming up again and again. And I love how he kind of talks about this because it reminds me of Destiny when Destiny first came out. When that game first came out, the story was pretty lackluster. There wasn't a lot to do. It was just basically point A to point B, kill this person, and then you're done the mission. Whereas now, the Destiny writers at Bungie, they're going ham at that story. They're making the story better. They're adding more planets. Like, they add a whole new game to that game every year. Maybe that's what they can do with No Man's Sky. Maybe they can start working on it, add in a whole bunch of new things to this game. I'd love to see them do that, and definitely from this review, that seems like what they need to be doing. And that's it. Let me know what you think of this brand new series in the comment section down below. If you're watching on GameSkinny, make sure you head over to my YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you go down to the description below, find the links to the articles you found that were most interesting, head over to GameSkinny and read up on those, comment in those comment sections as well, get the authors talking, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.